we love. I got my brand new shirt for the season.
Let's go Mets. Vinny's got his new shirt. Looks great. Good job.
There we go. Every season I buy a new T-shirt. So this year, this is my 2025
25.
shirt. The year that the Mets will go to the World Series. I'll get to see them go to the World Series one last time.
And if the Giants players can get some tickets, they're going to go too.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there's somebody on the Mets that'll help them out. Well, listen, you never know, right? I mean, you know. Um,
So
Good morning, Michael.
congratulations.
How are you?
Well, pretty good. We had an interesting day yesterday here in LA. We had the Oscars, we had the rain, we had an earthquake.
We had an earthquake this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Well,
it
how
must be
size?
coming up the coast.
What's the size?
I didn't see. I think it was like a four and change, and it was
Oh,
up
pretty
in the
feelable.
San Juan Islands.
Well, ours was 3.9, but it was right in town, so we really felt it.
Wow, that's it's one thing. No matter how many you go through, no matter how many experience, the anxiety from it doesn't get any less.
This one didn't affect me that way, but it did affect Kristen that way. She was upset by it, and the cats too, for that matter.
Yeah, the cats,
But
I'm
the
sure, get a
interesting
little
thing
whacked
that
out.
happened though, there was a 10% chance of rain, and in LA, 10% chance of rain is like non-existent. It's like finding. No, it's not like finding anything. It's like finding nothing. It's like there's nothing there. There's no rain. There's no weather. There's no front. There's no wind. There's no sprinkles. But at 7 o'clock last night, with a forecast of a slight chance of rain, it began to pour. It poured. The skies opened in Pasadena. It really rained hard, and everything's soaked outside right now. That was at 7 o'clock. At 10:16, the earthquake hit. Like one big, just like
Wow.
a, and I can't help but imagine that the two are somehow linked together because I've always been a big believer in earthquake weather, and that's what we had last night. We had that big one big hit, one big boom, and that was it.
It, did it affect? I didn't see the Oscars list. I watched the very end of it. I watched the best actor, best actress, and um,
This film,
picture.
right?
None of which I've seen.
Honora, I hadn't seen anything this year.
Yeah, I saw. Well, I saw the Bob Dylan movie, and I've seen the Conclave.
Oh, you saw that, huh?
So I've seen two. I kind of thought Conclave was going to win Best Picture, to be honest
Well,
with
it
you.
had a great cast, extraordinarily
Yeah, I
powerful
didn't
cast.
see the other one, so I couldn't say for sure. But I just thought that that Conclave was so good and so timely, and had such a twist to it that
Oh, I didn't know it had a twist.
yeah, oh, it's got a huge twist. Yeah, it's got a great twist that I thought that
Does it have the Isley brothers in it?
no, Chubby Checker.
I'd rather have the Isleys. Weren't they available? I guess some of them have passed on.
Well, some of them have passed, but Chubby's still. I think Chubby's like 90. It's like 90. He's still twisted.
Well, Chubby then can fill in as one of the Isleys.
Yeah, the Isley brothers were Chubby Checker, or Chubby Checker's now an Isley brother. I don't know. You could, but that was a. I thought that was going to be the. But again, I don't profess in any shape, manner, or form to be a movie expert because most of the movies I watch in a year were made between the years of 1930 and
19,
1970.
1950, 1953. Well, it just occurred to me that I interviewed both Chubby Checker and Hank Ballard, the writer of The Twist and the singer of The Twist.
Never interviewed Hank Ballard, but I did interview Chubby Checker. Matter of fact, Chubby Checker gave me one of the best lines, and I've repeated it hundreds of times.
Repeat it again, please.
I asked him in the interview, Chubby, where is the best restaurant? You've been on the road for years. Where is the best restaurant ever eaten it?
Yeah.
And he said to me, man, when you're hungry, the next restaurant is the best restaurant. And I was
You
like,
know,
all right.
Chubby was not a pudgy guy. I don't know how he got the name Chubby, but it was unfair.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe for that day. I mean, you look at all those '50s guys, and they're all like rails
Yeah.
compared to most of the other guys that he was singing
Ch-
up against in
Chubby
that
Chubby
era.
was at least had the running back body, or
Yeah, I mean, he was
not
a
a
he
not a
was a pretty good
linebacker,
guy.
but
He was a huge dude, man. I mean, you interviewed him, you saw him. He was a big guy.
right.
He wasn't fool. I don't know where he got his clothes, but he certainly didn't get them off the rack at Nordstrom's.
What's that place out on Highway in Jersey where you get two pairs of pants? Not Robert Hall,
Oh,
but some.
Dennison's, the men's clothing.
Yeah, yeah. The men's clothiers. Just so you don't know, it's not Dennison's the restaurant.
Right. Don't go to Dennison's the restaurant. Well, what's the place in Memphis where a lot of people still get their clothes? They're still around.
And
Elvis up there.
and
Um,
they do their business with soul wax. If you need a purple suit, that's the place should be your first stop.
yeah. Oh
Purple
man,
suit with no lapels.
I've actually been to the store when I was in Memphis the last time. I went to the store, and it's
Did you buy anything?
yeah, I bought a hat. I think Lansky Brothers.
Lansky Brothers.
Lansky Brothers. I was on their mailing list for a long time, and they stopped sending me catalogs when I moved.
Was Meyer Lansky one of the Lansky brothers?
No, I don't think he was involved in the situation. Maybe, I don't know. To be honest with you, but he might have been.
I never
But
asked. I never asked. I knew he was a hothead. I knew he was saying crazy things. And
but it was a great store to go into. I mean, they had stuff. And I'm just looking at their website now, and they've got incredibly cool
they having a soul sale.
shirts and everything. You can even get they have Clothier to the King cologne, the Milton Berle shirt in pink. The
No. What the hell does a Milton Berle shirt look like?
It kind of looks like a
Fancy tuxedo shirt?
no, it kind of looks like a '50s wear outside your shirt,
Shirt over a shirt?
wear outside your pants shirt, with the flat bottom, like
Oh,
a
yeah.
almost like a nest.
Oh, yes.
And it's black and it has like a pink piece that comes this way.
Of course.
Um,
Black and pink.
I'd have thought that with a Milton Berle shirt would have had
A little something.
something large to put your
Your burl in.
to put your burl in. Because after all, that was that was the story,
Well,
right?
I took some notes on the Oscar broadcast last night that you didn't see, and the first note is something that apparently was not first broadcast on the Oscar shows. The VW ad with the Californians, Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig, and I never saw that in the Super Bowl. Somehow that went right by me.
Yeah, it's been on for a while. It's great commercials. Obviously, if you Day Night Live, that's one of their greatest sketches.
And if
Yeah,
you're going to get to the beach and you're on the 405, you got to take the 10.
yeah, and also Fred Armisen in it as well,
Correct.
and everybody in that thing
And when
plays.
Fred talks, you can't understand a word he says. His lips
It's
are
great.
definitely in the way.
He's great.
What are you doing
he's one of
here?
like the unsung talents that's ever been on Saturday Night Live. I mean, that guy is
They were,
multi-talented. He's a great musician.
and it's where the Portlandia thing came
Portlandia
on his
was
legs.
off the charts. Yeah, it was. But it's a great skit, and they got it, and they caught the essence of it in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to them. I know Volkswagen paid them and Lorne Michaels a ton of money to do it.
Sorry. You want
But
the goods. If you want the goods, this is what it's going to take.
well,
And if you want to get to
we're
Santa
talking about
Monica,
it
you got to
today,
take the 10 from the 405 if you're on the
right? Yeah,
405.
we're talking today,
Now, if you're on the 101, you got to get to the 405 and then to the 10. Connect.
which is a great rip of the old Johnny Carson routine, the Art Fern Tea Time movie.
When he,
When he used to do, he would do that. The 405 to the 522 to 522 eastbound, circle around and go up.
And Art Fern will meet you at the gate.
That was a great that was my favorite skit that they used to do on a Tonight Show. I know a lot of people like Karnak, um,
And that
but
was
I always
good.
loved that Art Fern Tea
But
Time movie.
the good thing about Carson is he always took a name, a nom de plume for his character. It was Karnak, it was Art Fern, it was somebody else, and you could believe them. There's a guy named Jim Dunbar in San Francisco who did his between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. They would do the sports report, but the sports reporter wasn't there yet at KGO, and Biff Burns would do the sports for KGO, and that was Jim Dunbar and the Biff Burns. This is Biff Burns saying. This is Biff Burns saying. So long.
Was that when Monty Stickles was the afternoon sports guy?
It was after that, but yeah, during that period, yeah, Monty
Where's
was.
Monty? Monty. Nobody knows where Monty is. Oh man,
This
daddy
is
old when radio was great, right?
when radio was fun. Biff Burns saying. This is Biff Burns saying. So long.
Amazing. Yeah, that was a great. Dunbar and Wygant were great. Uh, Jim Dunbar and Ted Wygant on KGO in San Francisco were a great team.
And Wygant was the straight man, and he never ever crossed over into being the funny guy.
Yeah, no, and I worked with Dunbar's son at KUSF. He was at KUSF for a while. Good kid, nice guy. We got along well.
Did
Um,
he have any of his dad's talent?
yeah, he had some of it, not as much. I don't think his heart was in it. I mean, to do this, got to be in it.
Yeah, it's got to be a
There was some
calling.
some people would show up at a radio station like KUSF if they show up for tickets.
Yeah,
Because they got tickets to all these great venues, and some people would show up because they wanted it to be their training ground for something else. Um, One of the most successful people at KUSF, I mean, Howie Klein
right.
was certainly successful, was a KUSF alumni. Jim Burris from CBS, from Sony, and Marty Brumbach, who is the musical coordinator on Saturday Night Live,
Oh,
is a KUSF guy,
I didn't know
and
that.
yeah, there was a ton of people that were successful in that field. I mean, there's other people that have been at KUSF that have been successful at other things. My friend Laurie Gates is a great teacher in Denver. She was at KUS, on to work at Bill Graham for a long time. But yeah, that little radio station turned out a whole lot of. When you would take a radio station and say what station turned out a ton of talent, not just in radio,
Right.
but in the music business and everything else, KUSF would be near at the top of the list. It was just it was a place where people went.
It was a joint. It was a regular joint,
It was a wild time, man. That's a place that somebody ought to write a book about sometime.
and they sold it for profit.
Yeah, the university sold it off. There's
Last night, I did take one note about Conan O'Brien. His best uh, line of the night, which was improvised, it couldn't have been scripted, was when Honora, the film Honora, the independent film made in New York, was winning all the awards. He said, "This is another example of somebody standing up to a strong Russian."
oh, that's,
Apparently,
that's good. That's a good line. I like that.
apparently there was a reference to the Russians in Honora, which is about the sex trade and
Right.
different,
It was filmed in Brighton Beach,
which is a Russian enclave,
which is for years has been a Russian. I mean, that's where the Russian mafia is.
Russian neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a rough neighborhood. It's it's yeah, it's a place where the Russians run things.
When you run into guys with body tattoos.
Yeah, yeah, it's simple and sweet. It's guys, yeah, it's people that just get out of Russia, get over here, and they set up shop here. They don't change because they come to the United
No,
States.
they don't change at all.
No, they're
But
still
is Brighton Beach a nice
doing what
beach?
we're doing.
Would you say Brighton Beach was a nice beach town?
No, it's I don't even know that there's a beach in Brighton Beach. I don't think it goes to the beach. I think it's just a place that was called Brighton Beach because it's before Coney Island.
There's no beach at Brighton Beach. See, I didn't even
I
know
don't
that.
I don't remember now. There might be. I'm trying to think now, but I don't. I mean, for years, Brighton Beach was a neighborhood where
You could have just called it Brighton and saved the hoo hoo.
yeah, I mean, I guess there is a beach there somewhere, but I'm looking and it's showing. I mean, yeah, I guess it's one end of Coney Island is the beach. So there is a beach in Brighton Beach, but I know it much more for uh, the elevated that goes through it, and the there's a ton of apartment buildings there, and there is it was an old Jewish neighborhood.
So you could probably get some borscht there, I think.
Yeah, it was the end of Ocean Parkway. So now it's a place that's I think has a younger crowd.
Not many Hasidic
As
guys working on their tans.
Yeah, as in many neighborhoods by the beach in New York in the 60s and the 70s and even the 50s had a lot of Jewish population. For some reason, Jewish people like to live near the beach.
You can't go
You'd
wrong.
go, and it's much quieter, much less known in Coney Island. But it's somewhere in the well, I remember when I was down there when I worked near Brighton Beach, and it went from being a Jewish neighborhood to being a Russian neighborhood in the 70s and the 80s. And I'm sure when the Soviet Union broke up and there was much freer immigration,
Let's go to the beach.
a lot of people went. But it's a yeah. But anyway, they I guess they filmed that movie there, and it was a low budget movie, right?
$6 million total for everything.
So I guess people were eating bologna sandwiches at craft services.
No craft service. It's bring your own.
Bring your own. Bring a lunchbox. We're making a movie. Which
Well, apparently it fell into the favorite category for so many of the members of the academy in terms of writing, editing, production, best actress, best movie.
yeah, I'm really interested in seeing it.
And it didn't come
Now
without,
that
all those awards did not come without backlash. Today I see people are saying that Conclave was a better movie, Wicked was a better movie. Uh, there was a number of categories that they thought could have been won by somebody else. There was a lot of surprises at Andorra winning everything.
well, Wicked
Everything.
got out, huh?
Yep, got nothing.
I didn't
I think
see
I
the
think
movie, so I don't know. All I know is that
I
it's a
think I think
popular
maybe they
movie.
won production design, which was the best giveaway of the evening. When Ben Stiller, his stage mechanism failed and he was in a hole. All you could see was his head.
Yeah, I guess once you're in there, if it fails, there's no way to get out except to climb out, right?
He did climb out to give the award.
Oh, he did.
He managed to clamber out of the hole.
It would have been much funnier if he would have stayed in there.
Well, he got the laugh for that. So
Just handed out the
he got an
award.
ovation when he got out of the hole. He got an ovation.
That's funny. That is hilarious. yeah, yeah. I don't know. The awards have lost the Academy Awards. I don't know. Some years I check in. Some years I like, come home and I sit down and I, get in front of the television. I watch the whole thing, even though I haven't seen the movies, because I just like to see who the latest stars
Oh
are.
yeah, and
Um,
how well they hold themselves.
yeah, just who's wearing a hot dress, who's this, who's that. But the last couple, I actually watched live when Will Smith hit Chris Rock. I remember
Yeah,
that.
I remember that.
I was actually watching that, and I think I had the same reaction as everybody did.
Nobody was more surprised than Chris Rock.
Yeah,
He
did
couldn't have
Chris
been.
do that? I mean, is that and then of course I immediately went to Twitter to see who was what was the buzz, and I mean it just blew up. Twitter just blew up.
That was
Um,
before it was X, before it was taken over by
right
Elon
before
Leon.
Leon got his hands on it. Boy, talk about a guy in. Well, I don't know if he's in trouble or not. I don't know, but I know that there are more stories about more Tesla stockholders who are
Incensed.
disappointed, upset, and worried about losing money.
It ain't about you, Leon. It's about money. My money.
Well, yeah. Now he might not care because
No, he doesn't care.
he's got more money, he knows what to do with, obviously. But we did a story on it on Drive Time. The number of vandalism attacks against people that are driving Tesla cars and trucks, and the number of vandalism attacks against Tesla stores, because the stores are owned
Right.
by the
Outright.
company. They're not owned by dealers. A Tesla store is owned by Leon.
It's a direct product.
So, and I was saying to people, listen, if you want to go do something against Leon Musk, knock yourself out. If you want to go spray paint Teslas in his parking lot of a dealer, you're not hurting anybody but him. But when you go and see an individual Tesla parked on the street
You monkey with somebody on the freeway.
and you spray paint that, um, or you give that guy the finger,
It's
throw
his
a
property.
brick through his window, or whatever you do, you're not accomplishing anything.
So many cars that I see here in Southern California, and there are a lot of Teslas in LA, a lot of them.
Yeah,
And
LA's the number one market. We are number three. We were number two for a while, but we dropped down to number three, I think, last year.
the out the safety valve is a little disclaimer that goes on the bumper that says, "I bought this before I knew he was an asshole."
Yeah, yeah. There's
And
definitely,
I've seen a lot of those.
there's definitely a lot of that, and the resale value on the cars dropped.
Well,
Uh,
the price was never stable anyway. He would change the price willy nilly.
right, right. He's his monkeying with the price. I mean, here you had somebody who went and bought um, a Tesla, like a Model Y, one of the nice ones, for 80 or $90,000. The next week, people will go into the dealership and buying it for 60.
That has a way of destroying your
So you've
product.
dumped you've hurt your customer $30,000 in 1 week.
And he's going to tell a number. He's going to tell 12 people. They're going to tell 20.
Yeah, and well, it's major news. It's all over the news. People get their news on the internet and everything, and people see it. And well, there's people get, especially young people now. When we were kids and we bought a car, Michael, you expected that the car was going to be worth less
When you
than
drive
when
it
you
off the
bought it,
lot. Right.
right? It was depreciate. It was the natural order of things. If you were in 1970 and you bought a 1965 car, you figured that that car would be worth half of what you paid for it when you went to sell it in 1975. Today, young people have been conditioned to think, not that it's true, but to think that cars go up in value, that they treat them like investments.
Some do. Very rare.
And some, you know, and for a while, especially during the pandemic, that was true because car prices shot through the roof. People were demanding used cars. These huge car companies needed stock. These, Carvana and uh, these different used car companies, CarMax, and those companies were paying over book value for cars because they needed cars to sell.
Gotta have something on the lot.
And so they the price of cars actually did go up for a short amount of time, but that's not true anymore. Now, some cars still hold their value. You have a Honda, a Toyota. Those cars hold their value because they're difficult cars to get. It's
Plus,
still,
you put gas and oil in them, they
Toyota's
run
selling every
forever.
car they can make.
Right.
Honda, pretty much selling every car they can make.
I got a car question for you. Is it right to change your spark plugs every 100,000 miles?
I would change it before. I used to tune my car up every 30, 40,000 miles.
30 or 40?
30 to 40 is what I tune. And that would be spark plugs, points, condenser, which cars don't have anymore, or electronic ignition components, change the filters.
So you
Every
change it.
60,000 miles or 70,000 miles, change the transmission fluid.
What about I see. That was my next question. Trans fluid, drain it and replace it.
Yeah, I think that every 50 or 60,000 miles. Now, some manufacturers have different recommendations. You should never go past the recommendations, but if you want to get 1,000,000 miles out of your car, the best thing you can do is change the fluids way before they recommend it because the fluids have the shavings and the gunk and the stuff that comes off of the parts in the motor, and that stuff eventually gets back up into the motor, and with heat, especially on smaller engines,
Creates wear. Could be damaging.
creates wear and sticks to the parts, and then your parts go bad. Whereas if you have a bigger engine, it tends to run cooler, and you don't. But those little 4-cylinder engines, 3-cylinder engines, which you see in cars now, they run hot, and if it's a turbocharged engine, it runs even hotter.
The heat's not your friend.
Heat is your enemy. Heat warps head gas. Heat bends parts. Heat sticks bakes gunk on components. Piston rods and crankcases and all that kind of stuff. And especially if you are dealing with cars with aluminum components,
Oh boy.
it makes it worse. Aren't as strong as steel. So you're rolling the dice. So
Well,
I'm a guy who always suggests,
That was recommended to me. Change the sparks and the trans fluid.
yeah, I would do that. I would do that every 50 to 6,000 miles,
Okay.
no matter what the owner's manual says.
Beat
Uh,
those dates. Don't go past them.
yeah, and and you can definitely clean spark plugs if see, I used to tune my cars when I had carburetors on my cars. I used to tune my cars that they usually ran a little rich. But if you did that, you were well advised that you used to foul the spark plugs.
Yeah.
So the smartest thing you could do would on a Saturday afternoon every couple of weeks is take your spark plugs out and clean them. You take a little wire brush and clean the conductors and the little
Little
piece that
point.
comes around. Make sure those don't have gunk on them.
That's the
Or
technical term, the little piece.
yeah,
Everybody knows that. That's the technical term.
that little piece. Uh, what do they call it? The anode? Oh, I forget what. I think it's the anode, if I'm not mistaken. Um, those, it's electricity. So dirt is the worst enemy. Dirt and moisture and water are
It's
the
in the way
worst
of
enemies of
conducting.
electricity.
You want clean conducting.
So if you have a clean spark plug, you're going to have a clean, a better running car, more fuel
Happier.
efficient. You're going to get the proper compression, the proper firing to move the piston down. If you have dirty, caked up spark plugs, they start to misfire. All these different things can happen.
And that's something you can take to the bank. You can put $5 on that. You can bet on that. You can wager that that will be the case. Unless you're Pete Rose, in which case you're advised not to wager on it at all.
Why wouldn't you wager if you're Pete Rose? If you're Pete Rose and you're going to get the president's going to pardon you, why don't you go out and do anything you want to do?
Why don't you open up a store in Vegas, a storefront, Pete Rose Wagering?
I mean, yeah. In case anybody hasn't heard, I guess President Trump has proposed um, a pardon for Pete Rose because, and now Pete Rose didn't go to jail for gambling. Pete
No,
Rose went to jail for
lying.
tax evasion.
Oh, so he didn't claim his earnings.
Yeah, I don't think he went to. I don't think he went because. Yeah, I don't think he went to jail for perjury. I think he went for tax evasion. But uh, there's one of uh, yeah, 5 months in jail and fined $50,000 for cheating on his taxes. That's what Pete Rose went to jail for. And in keeping in a fine family tradition, um, Pete Rose Jr. has been arrested
Good.
on drug trafficking charges.
There you go. Good boy.
So
Picked up where your old
faces
man
and
left
Matt.
off.
This is from the DEA. Uh,
And what
well,
drug
this
is
was
he
back in
smuggling? Did he give
2005, so I don't
does he
know what
give drugs a
happened.
bad name?
He was arresting GBL to pro baseball players. So I don't know what Trump is going to pardon. But again, here we have somebody who has some fame and personality and of note is getting a break. Not that he can enjoy it,
That
but
he
he's
can
getting
appreciate.
a break because he's Pete Rose,
He's my kind of felon, says
not
Trump.
because he didn't do it.
Oh, he did
Not
it,
be,
but we're not. But we're going to say he didn't do it and give him a pardon.
and he even admitted that he did it. So it wasn't even like a thing where he said, "Well, I didn't really do it. This was a screw IRS."
This
When
was a
he
hoax.
was going into jail.
Hunter Biden's was the guy who did it.
Yeah, I have no excuses because it's all my fault," said Rose. "I lost my dignity, I lost my self-respect, and I almost lost a lot of dear friends." Well, um, but again, if you have a friend in the White House, now it's not going to help him get into the Hall of Fame.
No.
It's not going to do anything for him to get into the Hall of Fame.
In fact, it'll probably hurt him. Hurt the
I
effort,
don't
maybe.
know. I don't know if it will or not. I'm not
Well, can you think of anything that
sure
would help him?
because it's you're dealing with a bunch of baseball writers,
They're an
and
unpredictable, ornery
yeah,
bunch.
but it is but I'd say a long held edict that He's not going to get in. And the only thing that may change the temperature on that a little bit was the death not too long ago of Faye Vincent. Because Faye Vincent was a good friend of Giamatti's, was his right-hand man.
And he said,
And
no, no way.
Giamatti was the one, and Faye Vincent believed, in no uncertain terms, that Pete Rose caused Bart Giamatti's death, who was the commissioner of
Whoa.
baseball. He firmly believed that Pete Rose, the stuff that Pete Rose pulled Giamatti. Giamatti was such a baseball fan, probably
Broke his
the
heart.
last baseball fan. I don't know if you want to say Selig was a baseball fan, but certainly a baseball fan. And it broke his heart to have to do what he did to Pete Rose. It pained him. It took a toll on him. And I guess the guy I'd like to hear from today is Paul Giamatti. See what he thinks about it. Because, of course, Bart was his dad. But
Well, I don't know if he was old enough to have been completely
yeah, I don't
familiar with his
pardon
father's
Pete
feelings.
Rose.
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, but he did it. And when we pardon people that do things, the message it sends,
Yeah, we know he's guilty. We know he was a rat, but we're doing it anyway.
yeah, it just sends. It says that if you do these things, that
Maybe you're
yeah,
bad,
you may
maybe you're
pay a
not.
price at some point, but it's going to go away. The only reason Trump is doing it is because he probably saw some survey that said that 70% of baseball fans think that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Not even thinking that this will not get him into the Hall of Fame.
It'll have no effect on that.
Yeah, or at least I don't think it will. It might. It's at some point people learn to forgive, people learn to forget, but what Rose did was egregious to the game because often people, I'll talk to people about it and they'll say to me, well, look now, we have gambling on baseball. They advertise gambling.
They encourage it. They have
They
special shows
encourage
on it.
gambling. They're part of it. And to that I say yes, but all the more reason for people who are associated with the game not to gamble and to not do things that can make it look like there's hanky panky going on. People, I think that the NBA is less of a league because they're convinced, and there have been convictions of referees that have
Shave points.
either participated in point shaving or players that have participated in point shaving or all these different things. And I think that's what has prevented the NBA from blowing up even bigger than it has. I don't. I have become less interested in since gambling became so much of a part of it.
Well, this ESPN gambling shows are so cheap. I mean, they're just pandering.
I just it doesn't hold now. Again, I have personal reasons that I don't like gambling, and I have a problem with it. That's that's my problem. But it affects the game because I'm never 100% sure. Never 100% sure.
Not since Rothstein fixed the 1919 World Series.
Yeah, that somebody is hanky panky in somewhere with with the game. And it doesn't have to be a World Series or a playoff game or something like that. I mean, yeah, everyday games are the ones that people are betting on.
Yep. That's where you lose your
That and the
shirt.
fact that I can't quite figure out how betting on baseball works. Sorry.
Either they're going to
Uh,
win or they're going to win.
yeah, but there's all these point propositions and stuff, so I stay away from it. I'm not a good gambler anyway. Every once in a while, feel lucky, I go to the casino and I bet some, I play craps or I play blackjack or whatever. But but you know what? I'm usually successful when I do that. I just get a feeling, like it's a psychic thing. It's just like, okay, play the game and
Can I
you'll
can
win.
I can I hit on 16? Yes, you may.
I've done that a couple of times, and the dealer looking at me, and I said, "No, I'm telling you," and they've come up with a
A 2.
card to beat the house. It happens, but I really believe that when I'm gambling, that there's a another force there when I'm playing craps
Not
or roulette
necessarily a
or
clean force.
yeah, there's just something that's telling me what to do because I'm not a good numbers guy. I don't run odds through my heads. I don't count cards good. I don't do any of that. So I truly believe, like, if I would go to Lilydale, after I would take a trip to Lilydale, I would go to the casino because I figured that's about as close as I'm going to be to the spirits,
To the right vibes.
to the right vibes. So let's go and see. And I take $50 in with me. And if I lose the 50, I walk out. If I win, I keep playing. If I get up by a certain amount, I take the money and I go. And
And as
then,
you know, that's
guys,
not the way the gamblers work.
right? No, the gambler don't work like that. The gamblers work a whole different way. I mean, listen, my old man was a gambler, man. I watched him, and I watched him horribly lose because he was always somebody that thought that the right roll of the dice, the right number, the right thing was going to come up in his favor. And the only time I ever saw my father win at gambling was when he hosted the crap game in his gas station and he would take a piece of the pot for the house.
He got some of the house.
So he was the house. That's the only time he won. And that taught me at a very young age that you don't beat the house because the house gets a piece of the action.
Well, that's where Meyer Lansky learned the business of gambling. He watched the guy. He said everybody's playing with their oven money because it used to take a nickel to put your meal in the oven. For the baker would cook it for you because nobody had a kitchen in the tenements. And he said, but the guy in the back who didn't do a thing took all the money.
Yeah,
What the
yeah,
hell's that all about?
yeah.
Why did he take the money?
I always, I saw that and remember that from a young age. That the only time that my old man and in the summer I would make money because I would go. The people would come in for the crap game. At about 11 o'clock, they would start coming in. My old man had this one-room gas station, and around 11 o'clock, all of the route guys, like the guy that had the bread truck, the guy that had that delivered to all the stores, they would all come in. Fuel oil truck driver would come in. A couple of the cops would come in. We had cops there.
Sure,
Cops. My father had a space in the back of the gas station where the cops could pull their car
off the street.
off the street so nobody could see him. And they were in there gambling. And I used to get there at 12 o'clock, get orders from everybody, go next door to the diner and get everybody, and people would throw me a dollar. So I'd walk out, and this is 1966, 65. I walk out with 10 or 15 bucks. I mean, for
Better than the average.
1965, that's some scratch. And I did it, a couple of days a week
There you go.
for some occasion. That's how I bought my Nehru suit.
Tell you about your copy of Beatles 65.
That's how I had a good record collection. Because I'd go to a record store and buy, spend the money on records.
Excellent. Good story.
That's but it was, but seeing my father lose as he did, um, I know the trouble it caused in our family, and I know the heartache, the arguments, and the bad side of it. You tell a story like I just told. It's a great story. It's funny, but I can't tell you the stories of how many times my father didn't come home because he lost, and my old lady was going to scream at him,
Not going home tonight.
or he'd sleep in the car outside the house because he came inside, he was going to get it. And how many times as kids we woke up uh, in the middle of the night because we heard the screaming. So gambling has not left a great taste in my mouth because of that, and I'm actually surprised I gamble at all. To be honest with you, that it left such a bad taste in my mouth. But I seem to have been able to control myself with it.
It's not easy,
So,
especially when you're
so
around sports a lot.
say again.
It's not easy when you're around sports a lot.
No, no, it's not. I mean, you know the people that used to gamble at the radio stations we've worked at. You know that there was people that were running the bookies all the time, and you know what kind of trouble they got themselves into doing it.
Yeah, with a
So,
reputation.
um,
Something weird happened here in Los Angeles that I should tell you. We had the big fires in Altadena and Palisades in January. It was January 6th, a terrible date. The schmutz was in the air, all the dropping, all the pieces, all the tiny filaments, all the pieces of trees and homes and everything that blew out to the sea, got into the Pacific Ocean and stayed there. It just washes around, and it's so toxic that it's begun killing the kelp along the California coast because this stuff is still in the water and still on the beaches after these months. Here we are in March, the fire 2 months ago, and that crap is still floating around in the air and the water and on the beaches, and it's taken its toll on the one thing that regulates the health of the ocean in the shallows near the coast, and that's the famous California kelp beds, which
yeah.
are dying as a result of the toxins that float on the surface of the ocean and can't be they're not leaving, they're not dissipating, they're not neutralized. They're still as toxic as they were because it's asbestos, arsenic, heavy metals, all the mixture of biomass that burned with the homes and wiring and cars and metals and everything else that you can imagine, all in together in the same ash that floats on the ocean and does not dissipate. So to
Well,
the people in Carolina right now that are dealing with their own terrible fires, be very cautious of the what's left over of the ash and the filaments and all the fallout because it's poisonous and it stays poisonous for months.
well, yeah. I mean, I think that stuff isn't going away. It goes into the air just as the everyday, and it's not poisonous. The everyday particles of your tire that are on the
Yeah.
freeway are blown into the ocean, and the other stuff is blown into the ocean. Um,
And we
years
always think that the
ago,
ocean is strong enough and large enough to overcome these mixtures, these chemical attacks.
to a
Not the
point,
case.
maybe, but not with
You
the
you,
numbers of people we're putting on the earth, and the numbers of cars
you
we're
can
using,
hope,
and the
but
number of
that's a
fires we're having.
right.
Uh, you know, I mean, I don't know what can be done about it.
You can ask Tommy Tuberville. He's got solutions for
I'm
everything.
sure he's got the fucking answer for everything. Don't even get me started with that guy. But how do you mitigate that? How do you control that?
And how do you clean it? How do you deal with the fallout from it? Right now, there's no, except for actually picking it up by hand, which is not recommended.
Yeah, or maybe I don't know what I forget what they did at the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland because remember that river used to set on fire. There were so many
Right.
chemicals in it,
Right.
and the chemicals would come and sit to the top that you could actually throw a match onto the river
And it would boil.
and it would light up. So there has to be. I don't know what they did to mitigate that, but they better wake somebody up and ask them because somehow, some way, you got to fix that, or else people aren't gonna want to go into the water in California,
Well, that's
and
part.
that be good for California business.
Right now, that's the warning. Stay off the beaches. Stay out of the ocean.
Really,
Yes, because they can't control where it's washing up, and that's part of the $40 billion the Newsom asked for the federal government for dealing with the aftermath of the fire, and of course they've awarded him nothing.
and they probably won't, or they'll take as long as they can take to do it.
Give that $40 million to Vladimir Putin so he can have a nice party for his birthday.
Yeah, I can only imagine what's going to happen. That the federal government is not going to. Um, I mean, listen, we got a whole bunch of people who have put this country in a horrible place.
In terrible jeopardy.
A horrible place. Um, the Europeans are rallying around Zelensky.
Yep, they are. They have to.
So to he might be able to hang on.
I
I don't
think
know how
so.
long for what hanging on means.
Well, no one knew 3 years was possible, so 6 is possible, or 3 is possible.
But it's gonna what is clear is it's gonna cost a lot more lives
More money, more
and more
commitment.
money, and people around the world are starting to really dislike us. And we as Americans, I think, come up with this. We came up with the idea of hate the Ayatollah, but don't hate the Iranian people
They're modern. They love the USA.
because it's not really them.
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Michael. I don't think that holds true the other way. I think if the United States screws people over,
Gonna hate us.
that they're going to hate us. They're going to hate you when you drive your car into Montreal
You're the
and
guy
it
who
has
voted
United
for this
States
idiot.
plates on it.
You voted for him. You brought this about. You're responsible.
Right. They're going you're going to become again the ugly American.
And today I see that the new cabinet of Trump is reinstating political contact with the Russian government, secretly and overtly, covertly, reestablishing relations with them officially in
Yeah.
in all the ways that we had
Yeah.
terminated
This is
during.
all the stuff that in the last 4 years or 3 years, I guess it is. All of the stuff that you see on our logo up there, where everybody was putting the Ukrainian flag out and hailing Zelensky as a hero,
Forget about it.
is not going to be because he didn't want to kiss Putin's ring. A true sign of what dictators do.
Yep. Show me you love me.
Yeah, you didn't say thank you once.
You didn't wear a suit.
You didn't wear a suit. I I forget what um, paper it was. It might have been. I might have seen it like on a USA Today or something like that. But somebody ran a piece that said Zelensky on the record, on video, thanked the United States 137 times.
Not quite enough. He doesn't want to thank the United States. Trump wants personal thanks.
Right. Did you see the cold open for Saturday Night Live?
I haven't watched it yet. I have it taped.
You should watch it. You watch it. It's really good. It hits the point. And I guess I don't know, Michael. I feel us barreling towards something,
Terrible.
whether it's war or whatever it is. I feel us barreling towards something that is not going to be pretty.
And the Republicans are now walking out of their meetings back home, their town hall meetings. They're not even finishing them. They can't face the voting public. They cannot present themselves as a true representative of the public. They can't make appearances in their home districts. They cannot do it. They're not welcome there anymore. They're only welcome in Washington, and only insofar as they're loyal to Donald Trump.
No,
Not the party, not the country, not the nation, not the problems, just Donald Trump, whatever he wants.
yeah.
He must be pleased at all times, at all turns, at all corners, at all crossroads. Donald Trump must be pleased first.
The only thing that's going to fix this, um, and I don't know if they'll fix it in time, but the only thing, I mean, people are going to have to realize at some point, two things are going to have to happen. Number one, people are going to vote the Republicans out in 2026.
Absolutely.
They're going to have to put a Democratic
Majority.
super majority in, so that they get over 60%. They don't have to kowtow to the Republicans on major legislation.
And now we got 2 weeks before the government shutdown comes, and Trump is voting for the shutdown. Once again, he wants it turned off, turn everything off, send everybody home, pay nobody, pay none of our debts, pay none of our bills, pay none of our responsibilities.
Well, why would he? What is his record?
Destruction and death.
His record is that in his businesses he still owes cities money for his first presidential campaign.
Which he'll never pay. And those were cities that supported him and rented him halls that he never paid for.
But
Pay
the
for
second time
security
he
that he
came,
used.
they gave, they said, okay, well, we'll rent it to you again.
We'll spot you that one.
And he still owes people money. Maybe Musk is picking up all the bills. I don't know. Maybe he's the guy that's picking up the tab. Maybe that's why Musk is around, because he's picking up the tab for whatever Donald wants to do. But you and I know that that's not going to last forever. One's going to get tired of the other one.
Well, Donald mentioned that Musk is going to send men to Mars. I don't know who's going to pay for that. I don't know who's going to go. You want to ride on that rocket?
Well, no, Michael, because I'm a firm believer that if those guys go to Mars, maybe we could straighten out Earth. Let him go to Mars. Let him get him and Bezos and Trump and all of them and put them in a rocket and shoot it toward Mars.
No, that's different. I'm totally behind that one. Let's go. Sooner the better.
I couldn't think of anything that would make more sense. Make sure you take Vance with you. Take all the cabinet.
Take Zuckerberg, too.
Take Kennedy with you. Take them all. I heard somebody this morning on one of the news programs refer to RFK. And it jolted me a little bit. I had to remember that RFK is now RFK Jr., but they don't put the Jr. in there. And for those of us who were around in that era,
It bears the distinction that you get the junior in there.
yeah, RFK is a totally different. The now RFK is a totally different RFK than the RFK from before.
His dad didn't have brain worms.
No, he had something else. It's just like when they talk about that clown from where is he? Kentucky or Tennessee or Louisiana, Senator John Kennedy.
Yeah, I know. That always gets me.
I'm like, this guy is nothing. I knew Senator John Kennedy.
You know Kennedy.
And you are no Senator John Kennedy. An annoying guy too. Right,
yes.
So I don't know, Michael. It's it's one of those months where, good God, you just look at everything and you go, how are we going to get out of this?
Well, that Trump himself has no exit strategy. He's just going to fuck it up and then
he has
walk
a
one day.
strategy for anything. But at least now he has to print the stat in English.
Official language. Got to have an official language. I'm glad they chose English. They could have chosen Russian.
I'd have gone for Italian.
It's a beautiful language.
Yeah. Or French.
Or French Italian. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah. Brazilian, Portuguese, I should say. It's a very beautiful language. English can be hard at times.
Difficult.
Especially because most of the people that are purported to speak English, myself included, really don't do that good of a job of it.
Like Senator John Kennedy.
We can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Well, there. I don't know what you said, but it sounded like you meant it.
Buffoon.
Vinnie, shall I see you on Wednesday?
Yes, let's get together on Wednesday. When is when's Trump's address? I'm not
tomorrow night.
Is that tomorrow night?
That should be something.
I'll make sure I'm out tomorrow night.
That should be another emotional meltdown.
I can't watch it.
What should the Democrats wear? White, black, red? What should they wear?
Nothing.
I approve.
That would get the attention of the American people. If every Democrat walked in with no clothes on, yeah, there'd be some that you couldn't look at.
Not for long.
There'd be a few that I would tell you flat out, I would see this one with no clothes on.
Like Bernie?
Yeah, I could go the rest of my life without seeing Bernie with no clothes on.
Patty Murray?
Anyway, that's what I would choose. I would choose a nudist protest because you'd be able to show it on the internet.
Winter in Washington.
I don't know. The Senate cloakroom is surprisingly full this evening.
Oh, it's full. I hope you remember to keep your ticket. I don't know where you're going to put it, but hold on to that ticket.
Hang on to that check. You're going to need it.
You're going to really need it to get home.
You don't want to walk out of here without anything on tonight.
All right.
All right, man. I will see you Wednesday morning if the Lord's willing the creek don't rise. Have a good couple of days, Michael.
I will. See you when the Manischewitz gets delivered.
Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine, baby.
All right, man. Thank you all for listening, too. We always appreciate it. We'll catch up with you on Wednesday morning at 10:10.
See you then, Ben.
I'm sure that we'll have something else to rap and flap about. Have a good one.